Today I will show you how to begin the toe cap of all Sophie and Me slipper patterns. I'm going to demonstrate a size large, which calls for 5 foundation single crochets. If you do not already know how to do this, I have another video on my channel that will tell you how to do this exactly the way I'm doing it here. Now the first thing, this is very important, this chain that I just made is going to count as the first stitch when we come back around. So I like to mark it. Marking it, I also find makes it easier for me to slip my hook into, because this is going to be a smaller stitch than the rest of the foundation single crochets. So we continue on making the first foundation single crochet. The pattern calls, I'm using a large as a demonstration, calls for 5 foundation single crochets. Now that is not a foundation single crochet. I've only actually done 4, but it looks like I've done 5. This was my chain from the beginning. My foundation single crochet starts here, here, and it goes on. So I actually need one more, even though it looks like I have 5 at this moment. Okay, now I have 5. In the last stitch made, which is right here, you're going to work 2 foundation single crochets in the same stitch, but you're doing it as a regular, you're going to work 2 regular single crochets into this stitch. So there's 1, and there's 2. Next, we need to put regular single crochets into the next 4 stitches. There. Now, if you were making a size small, you would have less of these here. This is the only difference for any size, will be right here. Otherwise, everything will be exactly the same, whether it's larger or smaller. Don't forget the last one, it's right here on the opposite side of where my blue marker is. Next, we're going to put 4 regular single crochets into the loop. This will be the same on any pattern, the 4 in the loop. The same for any size. Okay, now it's time to pull the tail, tighten it, pull it hard, and you have a very neat start here. No gaps. All right, so for size large, we should have 16 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And now this was my original chain that I marked. That's actually considered the first stitch. And that is the one that we go into to join this round. It's a little bit smaller than the rest of the stitches, so we slip stitch into it. So it can be a little bit difficult, but if you put a marker in there, it makes it much easier. Okay, now we chain 1 on each round, and this chain right here is going to be considered your first stitch. So you need to move the marker up. And put it right in there, so there are the 2 parts of the chain on the top and 1 on the bottom. We also need to mark the rest of these rounds, or these stitches, for the middle back, the middle sides, and the middle front, otherwise known as MB, SM, and MF. For a size large, my pattern is calling for these to be marked at the 3rd chain. Now you remember this is the first chain right here where I've marked it. Here's the 2nd chain, see this? And the 3rd chain is the one that needs to be marked. This is going to be MB, middle back, or bottom, you could call it. So it's going to be on the bottom of your foot. The next one would be the 7th. Now this is the 3rd. 4, 5, 6, 7. It's right here. You're going to need to move these markers as you work on every round. And you should always count each round before you close it and join. Make sure you have the right amount of stitches. Then we need the 11th. This was the 7th. 8, 9, 10, 11. Mark it. And the 15th. 11th. 12, 13, 14, 15. We had 16 rounds for the size large total. Okay. Looks a little bit messy, but the markers, trust me, they will help. Oh, fell out. All right, on round 2 and on all even rounds are your increase rounds. You're going to be increasing on either side of the SMs or side middle here and here. So on the stitches on either side, you will put 2 stitches into those. Remember, you need to move your markers as you work. Move it up. Continue on. Okay, so we're right before the next marker. 2 stitches in this stitch. So there's 1. And 2. Then 1 stitch where the marker is. Move your marker up immediately. Don't forget. And then we need to increase 1 stitch on the other side of where the marker was, which is right here. So there's 1 and 2. Continue on. Now we're at the next marker. So I like to go ahead and stitch in that one and move the marker up. It's very important to keep your markers in the right places. Continuing on, we're almost done with this round, which will give us 20 because we started with 16, and we're adding 4 stitch increases. And here we are on the one side of the marker, so I put another one in the same stitch. Stitch at the marker. Move it up. On the other side of the marker, another increase. There's 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Okay, we have 1 more stitch and then we're finished with the round, and we're going to join to the first one, which is marked with the blue marker. Join with a slip stitch. Then you chain 1, and that is your first stitch for the next round. So don't forget to move it up. Okay, I'll show you a finished toe cap in a moment. So this is the beginning, 2 rows, and all the even number rows are your increase rows for as long as it needs to be in the pattern. The odd number rows, you would just single crochet 1 in each stitch all the way around. Here's a finished product. This is the top of the toe cap. I'd like to show you the bottom because you'll have this interesting looking ridge. This will be the bottom, and that is where you've been slip stitching. One thing that you should not worry about is your markers may seem like they've gone off to the side and they're no longer in the visual middle. That's okay. It's because the stitch goes off, kind of twists. If you can't kind of tug it back to where it needs to go, what you can do is the pattern will instruct you how to move your markers back to the proper places. Enjoy.